I never imagined something like this could happen to me. I had always been the guy who believed in love, loyalty, and trust. I thought that when you built a life with someone, it was unshakable, solid. She was my high school sweetheart, the person I shared everything with, my dreams, my fears, my secrets. We got married young, moved into our first home together, and started building the future we had always talked about. We were happy, at least I thought we were. I worked long hours at the office, striving to provide for us both. At first, it seemed like a temporary thing, just a few months of extra work to get ahead. But as time went on, I noticed she seemed more distant. She was spending more time out of the house, claiming she was working on side projects or meeting friends. I didn't think too much about it. I trusted her, and I trusted that whatever was going on was harmless. She deserved some time for herself too. But slowly, I started noticing little things. Her phone being constantly glued to her side, always on silent, and she became more secretive. There were nights when she wouldn't answer her phone, or when she'd come home late, acting a bit too flustered. It wasn't enough to make me jump to conclusions, but it was enough to make me feel uneasy. One evening, I decided to come home early from work, hoping to surprise her. I wanted to do something nice, maybe cook dinner, maybe watch a movie, anything to reconnect. But when I walked through the front door, I heard voices coming from the bedroom. It wasn't the usual sound of her talking on the phone or watching TV. It was a man's voice. I froze in place, my heart suddenly hammering in my chest. I stood there for a moment, trying to figure out what was going on. At first, I thought I was imagining things, but then I heard the laughter, her laughter, the sound of something that didn't belong in our home. I walked toward the bedroom, trying to be as quiet as possible, but I wasn't prepared for what I saw. The door wasn't completely closed, and through the crack, I could see her standing there with a man I didn't recognize. They were too close. She was laughing, looking at him in a way that I had never seen her look at me. There was no mistaking it. She was flirting with him. And worse, they were in our bedroom, the one place that had always been our sanctuary. My blood ran cold, and my mind raced, but I couldn't bring myself to confront them in that moment. Instead, I stepped back and quietly left the house. I wasn't sure what to do next, but I knew I couldn't stay there. I drove around aimlessly for a few hours, letting my anger simmer, trying to figure out what had just happened. I felt betrayed in a way I had never felt before. I loved her. I thought we were happy. What could possibly make her do something like this? It didn't make sense. I thought about confronting her right away, but I knew that would only make things worse. I needed time to think, to figure out what I wanted from this. When I finally went home, she was asleep, pretending nothing had happened. I couldn't look at her the same way anymore. I kept replaying what I had seen in my mind, and the more I thought about it, the angrier I became. She had betrayed me in the most intimate way possible. Not only had she cheated, but she had done it in our own home, a place we had built together. She had destroyed everything. I didn't know what to do. I considered talking to her about it, but every time I thought about it, the image of her laughing with him kept flashing in my mind. I felt sick. Then I went to my best friend's house. I didn't know who else to turn to. I told him everything, every detail of what had happened. He listened quietly, but then he said something that changed everything. Why not expose her? Let everyone know what she did. Don't let her get away with this. It was the last thing I expected him to say, but something about it resonated with me. Why should I sit quietly and let her get away with it? Why should I suffer in silence? She had made a fool of me, and now it was time for everyone to know who she really was. The next day, I posted everything online. I wrote a detailed account of what had happened, everything I had seen, everything I had discovered. I included pictures of the man who had been in our house, who had been in my bed. I didn't make it a rant or an emotional outburst. I just laid out the facts, calm and cold. I tagged mutual friends, acquaintances, anyone I knew who might see it and share it. I knew it would spread fast in our small town. And it did. Within hours, the post was everywhere. People were calling me, messaging me, asking if it was true. Some were sympathetic, others were shocked, and a few even sided with her. But no one could deny what she had done. The truth was out, and there was no way for her to hide from it. She called me almost immediately, her voice trembling with panic. "What have you done?" she screamed. "You've ruined everything. Why would you do this to me?" But there was no way I could take it back. She had ruined everything long before I did anything. She had destroyed our marriage, our trust, and now she was trying to play the victim. I wasn't going to let her. The fallout was intense. Some people turned their backs on me, others took her side. I lost friends, and I saw parts of our community break down. But at the same time, I felt liberated. It wasn't about revenge. It wasn't about destroying her. It was about reclaiming my dignity, my self-respect. It was about showing everyone, especially her, that I wasn't just going to let her walk all over me. I wasn't going to let her betray me and then act like nothing had happened. In the months that followed, things slowly started to settle down. I moved on. She moved on. The town moved on. But I'll never forget the lesson I learned. People can be deceiving, and betrayal can happen when you least expect it. But you don't have to let it break you. Sometimes the best way to heal is to expose the truth and take control of your own story. And now, looking back, I realize that I'm stronger for it. I don't regret exposing her. I regret not seeing the signs sooner. But I'm glad I stood up for myself when it mattered most.